Let's continue. To Lotario's mind, it's impertinent, unwise, to test Camila if Anselmo already considers her to be reserved, honest, selfless, and prudent. Unlike saints and heroic soldiers, Anselmo wants to undertake an enterprise that can only bring disgrace, not glory, honor, or profit. Lotario quotes from a poem, The Tears of San Pedro, to reveal the example of the apostle's shame and underscore a Christian's obligation to do the right thing even when there are no witnesses. Let's see. What was St. Peter ashamed about? Yes, he denied Christ 3 times. And perhaps he shouldn't have cut off the ear of a certain slave. Returning to Lotario, he even cites the example of the prudent Reinaldos de Montalban, who, according to Ariosto, refused to have anything to do with wife testing. Now, why was Don Quixote so fond of this particular chivalric hero in chapter 1? Certainly not for his discretion in matters of love. Next, Lotario produces a flurry of analogies. An honest woman is a diamond, an ermine, a mirror, and a garden. In such cases, the ideal object must be accepted as such, for the consequences of testing it can only be negative. He ends this stage of his argument by quoting verses from a play in which an old man advises his friend to shut his daughter away because if there are Danaes in the world, there are also showers of gold. Lotario brings still more arguments against Anselmo's idea because all of this is required by the labyrinth into which you have entered. The labyrinth again. He asks for more respect from his friend and says Anselmo should also have more self-respect because society will judge him if his wife is bad. Then Lotario produces his final religious argument, citing Eve's creation from Adam's rib and referring to marriage as a miraculous sacrament which makes of 2 different people one and the same flesh. This echoes Princess Micomicóna's comment about Don Quixote's mole. Lotario adds that although they have 2 souls, they have but one will. Notice how Cervantes has now forced the logic of Euclid's 3rd common notion to invade theological reasoning. Since they are of the same flesh, if a husband brings dishonor to his wife, he disgraces himself as well. The husband is a partner in the disgrace of his wife, for he is one and the same with her. Lotario reiterates that Anselmo suffers from an impertinent curiosity and concludes with apparent decisiveness. You can go find another means of achieving your disgrace and misfortune. I will not be that instrument. Anselmo now admits that he is sick, but he again begs Lotario to help him, at which point he agrees, but with the idea of pretending. Wow, all those elaborate arguments come crashing back down to earth in the blink of an eye. So Anselmo supplies his friend with money and jewelry to facilitate the seduction, and he fabricates the indispensability or imbecility of his absence in order to leave Lotario alone with Camila. Things are going to get complicated, so there's something ironic about the friend's complicity. Lotario agreed to everything, albeit with different intentions than Anselmo thought. Note also the fencing terminology, the military rhetoric, and the apostrophe to the reader that Cervantes uses to describe circumstances opposite those anticipated by our supposed seducer. Lotario found himself mounting the stockades as his friend wished, and with the enemy before him, one whose beauty alone could defeat an entire squadron of armed knights, behold how right it was for Lotario to fear her. But Lotario does nothing. What he did was plant his elbow in the arm of a chair and place his cheek on the palm of his hand. He lies to his friend, telling him he is attempting to seduce Camila, as would the devil, the angel of light, who being himself but of darkness, masquerades behind virtuous appearances. In reality, He passes the time with her without uttering a single word. Now, when Lothario reports that Camilla resists his advances, Anselmo doubles down, giving his friend 4,000 gold escudos in order to buy jewelry with which to tempt her. A pause is in order here. These 4,000 escudos are tantamount to 160 times Sancho Panza's annual salary. Clearly, our Florentine characters represent a highborn aristocracy that we have not yet seen in Don Quixote. To continue, one day Anselmo hides in a chamber and peers through the holes in the lock. He realizes that all has been fiction and lies. Now he confronts his friend. Here we have a whole paragraph of apostrophe by our narrator, this time aimed directly at Anselmo. How wretched and ill-advised you have been, Anselmo. It's all very ominous, ending with a poem that indicates that the protagonist will be denied what he seeks. Lothario yields, agreeing to start over in earnest. Anselmo arranges again to be absent, and this time, at the renewed insistence of his friend, and upon the curious absence of the maid Leonela, Lothario had the chance to contemplate one by one the extremes of grace and beauty that Camilla possessed, which were enough to enamor a marble statue, much less a heart of human flesh. Although he wants to be a good Christian and a faithful friend, and perhaps we can doubt the narrator's words here, in the end, the beauty and grace of Camilla brought Lothario's loyalty back down to earth, and he begins to express his love to his friend's wife.